We should, as a country, make a statement that kids are the most important asset that we have.
Early learning is one of the most important investments that we can make to stay globally competitive.
It will result in a highly productive workforce and in a safer and healthier community.
All around the world, people are fulfilling the promise of educational and economic opportunity for their children by investing in high-quality early learning programs that create safer, healthier communities and develop more competitive and entrepreneurial workforces. To find out what sets the world's best early learning systems apart from the rest, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation sponsored a fact-finding mission led by the Economic Opportunity Institute and the World Forum Foundation to England and Finland, both widely hailed as models in early childhood education.
One of the reasons for this trip was to bring together this disparate group of policymakers and opinion leaders who can learn from the examples we saw in England and Finland and see how they apply to Washington State.
It was a great privilege to be invited to go on this tour and to see how different countries address the needs of young children and their families.
And I think there was a bond and a commitment that was formed between us that allows us to come back to Washington and do work and move forward in terms of early learning.
One of the lessons that we learned, particularly from Finland, is that the period of being a young child is precious in and of itself, and we should honor that period. The Finnish system is not geared in terms of academics and early learning. It's geared more in terms of social relationships and self-esteem and relationship with the outside environment.
That focus on helping children learn how to learn in those early years and how to relate to other people really pays off in the later years.
Their 15-year-olds test at the top in the world. And the reason that they do that is because they make an investment in early learning experiences.
In the United States, I know education is very highly valued, but in later stages. But here it starts early on from kindergarten.
And why is that?
It's the basic learning abilities that they pick up in the early stages, which then helps them later on also in the school life and maybe even in the work life as well.
In Finland, it's a national approach. Parliament members were very engaged in the discussion around early learning. It starts with almost the country's mission statement by saying the children are the most important asset they have.
Within their parliament, they do have these 5 statues so that all members of the parliament face forward at these statues. The center one is a woman holding a baby.
And of course the idea was the child is the symbol for the future, and the child is looking forward and the mother in the past.
You could see they were making a commitment to the future, and it dawned on me that that's a society that respects its children from the very beginning, so then the children respect the society in return.
That prevalent attitude, that this is just something we're going to do for our children to make sure that they're ready for school. I think that's hopefully the direction that we're going in as a country and certainly in the state.
This is Lena. Lena's sort of in charge.
In Europe, family leave is strongly encouraged and supported by the government. It can go anywhere from a year to 3 years in Great Britain and in Finland.
If they choose to work or to go to school, they have a choice between quality childcare settings.
I like the fact that parents did have choice in that matter because parents are the first teachers for all their kids.
Say hi.
While we value in this country choice, the real opportunities for parental choice are limited.
What we saw in England and Finland, no matter where you were, no matter what your economic status was or where you lived, you always had a choice of quality childcare.
The programs that we visited in Finland, one was a more higher income neighborhood and the other one was a working class neighborhood. The only difference that I saw was the neighborhood outside of the program. But once you walk through the doors, the children didn't have access to anything different, and the dedication of the staff was the same.
One thing that we have to grapple with is how to put public funds to work in terms of increasing the compensation and the educational levels of child care teachers. We need to professionalize the child care workforce, as has been done in Finland.
We don't see early learning as part of the education system, and as a result, child care teachers and providers are paid minimum wage, essentially, with little or no training.
You know, in England, at one of the Sure Start centers, I was really impressed. And I saw a lot of professionals not managing children, but engaging with children around their learning.
I was really intrigued to see the passion in those teachers and how much more recognized as professionals they were in the field of early learning.
We know that young children who benefit by early learning do better academically. They're less likely to be dependent on welfare. They're less likely to be criminally involved. They're more likely to make a higher wage, and they're more likely to be a better employee.
The business community is very supportive of early learning. They did say that the money they invested, whether through taxes or through whatever source, including their local work to help these schools, was money very well spent.
We met with the lobbyist for Nokia, and he credited the investments that their country makes in early learning and education for their growth in GDP.
We might rant about the fact that you pay too high taxes and these type of things. Everyone does that, as we discussed. But on the other hand, when you do see and when you need a service and you see it works and you can get it for your children or for your family as a whole, then you kind of come to realize that there are good things about the system as well.
The people of Finland and England are fulfilling the promise of educational and economic opportunity for their children by investing in early learning programs that focus on the child, provide real parental choice, and employ a professional workforce. Government, business, and citizens all share a real financial commitment to these efforts. However we choose to fulfill that promise here at home, the goal remains the same: to give our children the best possible start in life, so they can take advantage of what the world has to offer.
So we're at a point of watershed change in our country and in our state for early learning. People recognize the value of early learning.
And I've been in the legislative arena for 16 years and watched programs come and go, but this is one that I really, truly believe in.
I think the lesson is there's no panacea, but at the same time, without commitment, there's not a chance of getting a solution.